Condensation in older homes gets dismissed as normal. It's not. When moisture has nowhere to go, mould follows and the consequences can be deadly. One tragic case led directly to Wabb's law. This isn't about ripping houses apart or expensive retrofits. It's about controlling the air. In this video, we're looking at positive input ventilation, a simple, effective solution that's surprisingly easy to install. Let's go. Condensation in older homes isn't about the building being bad. It's about too much moisture and not enough fresh air. Every day, normal living fills a home with water vapour. Cooking, showering, drying clothes indoors, and even something we never think about, breathing. Here's the bit that surprises most people. An average adult breathes out around half a litre of water vapour every day. So a family of 4, that's nearly 2 litres of moisture every single day just from breathing. That's just like emptying 2 1 litre jugs of water day in, day out. But the moisture stays trapped inside. That warm, damp air then moves around the house until it hits a cold surface, windows, external walls, corners, behind furniture. That's where condensation forms. And where condensation keeps forming, mould follows. Once mould appears, the problem stops being cosmetic. Spores enter the air, indoor air quality drops, and health risks rise, especially for children, the elderly, and anyone with respiratory conditions. Extractor fans help, but only in one room, and only when they're running. Opening windows works, but not overnight, not in winter, and not when heat loss or security is a concern. So when you strip it right back, the problem is simple. The air inside the home is wet, stale, and has nowhere to go. For years, ventilation in older homes happened by chance. Air crept in through gaps under doors, leaky windows and chimneys, and stale air escaped the same way. Once those homes were sealed up to improve comfort and energy efficiency, that airflow all but disappeared. That's where positive input ventilation comes in. A PIV unit is usually installed in the loft, where it draws in fresh air from outside through the roof space. That fresh air is filtered and gently fed into the home at a controlled rate. By supplying air continuously, the system creates a slight positive pressure inside the property. That pressure pushes stale, moisture-laden air out through the building's natural leakage paths. The result is a steady whole house air change, quietly working in the background, helping to reduce humidity and the conditions that lead to condensation and mould. Now let's take a look at a typical PIV unit. This example is the NLPH from the Newlec range by Rexel. It's compact and designed to fit into most traditional loft spaces. So the install is straightforward. Inside it uses a centrifugal fan driven by an ultra low watt brushless DC motor. Air is drawn in through 3 sides of the casing through a fabric filter that catches larger dust particles and helps stop insects getting into the unit. The filter is Velcro mounted, so it's quick to remove for cleaning or replacement. That air exits through the remaining side where you connect 200mm flexible ducting to a ceiling diffuser, typically positioned near the centre of the home like a landing or hallway, or centrally in a bungalow. The unit is supplied pre-wired, and in our case we've connected it to an existing lighting circuit using the supplied fused connection unit. On top of the unit are the controls for setting airflow rate, which should be selected based on the size of the property. Bigger homes generally need a higher flow rate. That setting links directly to running costs. Dependent on speed, you're looking at around 4 to 9 watts, which works out at roughly £9 a year on the lowest setting and £20 a year on the highest. There's also a couple of nice side effects from where it draws air. On bright days, the loft benefits from solar gain, so the air up there is often a bit warmer than the outside air. You're not dragging in colder air directly from outdoors. And because warm air naturally gathers at ceiling level, that gentle, continuous supply helps redistribute that warmer air around the home, which can help reduce heating demand. The onboard controls monitor the temperature of the air leaving the unit using a sensor in the outlet. On really cold days, you've got the option of an integral heater to take the edge off the incoming air, and on really hot days the unit can shut down to avoid overheating the home. The heater can also be controlled via volt-free contacts using a local switch or a wireless option. A few install tips: everything you need is included, even the plasterboard fixings for the diffuser. The unit is very quiet and it's supplied with anti-vibration mountings to prevent motor noise being transferred into the building fabric. In heavily insulated lofts, mount the unit above the insulation so it doesn't overheat and so all sides are open to receive air, building a small platform if needed. If the diffuser is close to a smoke detector, fit the supplied blanking pieces to stop airflow interfering with alarm sensing, and in some buildings you may need to interlink the unit with the fire alarm system so it shuts down if smoke is detected. There's a dedicated interface available. Finally, remember, PIV relies on air movement throughout the home, so internal doors need an undercut. In a new build property, that gap would typically be around 10mm. So no more using Stanley the sheep. Of course, PIV is an ideal solution for a lot of older existing homes, but it's not a one-size-fits-all answer, and it's not aimed at modern, very airtight properties. And one really important caution: be careful making any changes to ventilation in a home that has fuel burning appliances. If there's an open flue appliance in the property, you need to understand the ventilation requirements and make sure you're not creating any risk. Also, remember what PIV is designed to do. It supports background ventilation across the whole home. It doesn't replace local extract, so you'll still need proper extractor fans for purge ventilation, especially in bathrooms and kitchens. So the key question is, does it actually work? Well, this is a problem I've been battling with myself for years: condensation and mould growth. I tried the usual things like a dehumidifier, and yes, they work, but they're noisy, they're expensive to run, and they're basically treating the symptom. Who would have thought that simply introducing a small continuous airflow could solve it? For me, it's genuinely been transformational. I used to wake up every morning to windowsills covered in water from condensation, and that stopped almost overnight. If you've had a PIV unit installed, let me know your experience in the comments. I'd love to hear how it's worked out in your home. And if you want to know more about the Newlec unit I've installed, I'll leave a link in the description so you can find out more about this Newlec PIV unit, available exclusively through 230 Rexel and Denman's branches nationwide. And if you've got a ventilation project coming up, you can chat it through with their team to make sure you're getting exactly the right kit for the job. As I have learned, it's easy to get ventilation wrong, which is why my colleague Joe Robinson made the video on screen now. It highlights the common problems with the installer's favourite flexible ducting and many more, and it's well worth a watch. Just have your ladders ready, because once you've seen it, you'll probably want to correct a few mistakes.